our Principal Secretary, State Department for Transport, Engineer Dr. Joseph Njoroge, the MD, Cape Kenya Ports Authority, Ambassador John, the MD Kenya Railways, Mr. Mainga, the Chairperson, Major General Retired, Pastor Awita, that's the Chairperson of Kenya Railways. They are all here with us. We want to take this opportunity to acknowledge your presence and to thank you for joining us. Dr. Kingori, we are very happy as government to be in this space with all key stakeholders, having this conversation, having this dialogue, and we don't take it for granted.
Yes. Now to get off the event, please, wapi makofi ya Edgar.
A round of applause for Edgar.
Thank you.
That
Karibu
is the
sana.
Gentleman, that is the visionary. Karibu sana.
Karibu.
And as Edgar comes on stage, allow me to acknowledge the presence of the Director General, NTSA, Mr. Njoroge Njau.
Yes.
Karibu sana, Edgar.
All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Just as Kingori has said, my name's Edgar Mesha Kobota from Afrika Mashariki Transport Awards. A husband and a father of two, and I'm also a pastor. And just as he said, this idea was given to us in 2019 when we were watching news and we saw the statistics. Over 3,000 people had lost their lives. And to us, these were not just people. These were not just numbers, sorry. These were fathers, mothers, daughters, sons who were lost due to road carnages. And as we sat in the room, God, in his divine nature, inspired this great idea for us to gather here and have conversation as far as road transport and air transport and maritime is concerned. So when we had the conference in the last couple of days, Dr. Kingori, the numbers are 57% are caused by human error. It's not, yeah, so that's what we were told, 57% by human error and 3% by infrastructure. So the main aim of Afrika Mashariki Transport Awards is to drive behavior change. And I'm glad that all of you are here, from the border to the aviation sector, and we want to have this dialogue together post this event. How do we drive behavior change post Afrika Mashariki Transport Awards? Because today we will recognize a few winners, but all of us will keep on this conversation going on. And why did we come up with the name Afrika Mashariki? Because the East African community is becoming one. And when you look at part of the nominees that were there in the list, most of them traverse across our borders. They go all the way to Congo, they go all the way to Uganda and other nations to just transport goods, services, and people. And our initial plan is to grow it, by the grace of God, to become a regional award. And I'd like to mention a very special group of organizations, starting with the Ministry of Transport, who are our key anchor partner. And when we were starting with this concept, and we sat down, one thing came to mind. Things don't go wrong, things start wrong. And that is why, for us, we decided, let us start with the ministry, because they understand transport better than we do. And once we got their blessings and their support, they've given us unwavering support through this initiative. And I'd like to acknowledge the team led by Dr. Hunda, and of course the larger team. Asanteni sana for the support. And also Kenya Railways have also stepped in a big way to take part in sponsoring the hall and the dinner that you guys are having. Let's keep Kenya Railways Maritime is concerned. So when we had the conference in the last couple of days, Dr. Kingori, the numbers are 57% are caused by human error. It's not, yeah, so that's what we were told, 57% by human error and 3% by a round of applause. So as I finish, I'd like us to continue conversations as far as transport goes, because previously, all of us in our different organizations, we were working in silos. But now, through Afrika Mashariki Transport Awards, by the grace of God, we've been able to gather each and every one of you under one roof, not just to come and celebrate an award, not just to come and eat the food, which is nice, by the way, but to start this active conversation of how to move transport to the next generation in Kenya. And as I conclude, I'd like to give a special mention to my co-founder, Warren, who's there, and maybe you can come, plus the team, they just stand. Warren and the team, these guys have played a great part in making sure that everything moves behind the scenes well. So this is the team that made sure things are moving. Warren, Wahome, and Michael. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the team: Wahome Masharia, Michael Wambugu, Warren Lamu Maina, and Mesha Kobota Edgar. There's diversity here. So thank you so much. And ours is a 5-year time strategy. We hope to achieve the behavior change in 5 years through your help. So asanteni sana, and to all the nominees, we wish you all the best and congratulations.
Asante sana. Thank you, Edgar. You are on the right side of history. I don't know kama I'm the only curious one, because our keynote speaker to represent the Cabinet Secretary of the Transport Ministry is a gentleman whose title has a title. Engineer and doctor going together. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause for Dr. Engineer Joseph Njoroge, who is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Transport. Wapi makofi yake? Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, transport is about energy. The planes, the vehicles, the trains, the boda-bodas, the matatus, they make a lot of noise. So we must also be energetic. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to recognize my colleague, Mr. Solomon Kitungu, who is the Principal Secretary in the State Department of Public Works, Mr. James Sogot, the General Manager of the Nation Media Group, and thanks, James, for your very good comments. Mr. Wahome Macharia, the Chief Executive Officer of Steadfast Trainers and Consultants Limited. We have the Chairman of the Kenya Railways Corporation in the House. We have the CEO of Kenya Railways Corporation, Philip Mainga. We have the Managing Director of Kenya Ports Authority, Ms. Ambassador Mwagemi. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good evening again.
Good evening.
Let me start by conveying apologies of our Cabinet Secretary, Mr. James Macharia, who actually was our chief guest today. But unfortunately, we did get 2 state guests, presidents from Guinea, Bissau, and also from Somalia. And therefore, there were bilateral meetings which are actually taking place. I think they just got finished a few minutes ago. And therefore, I am delighted to be leading this speech on his behalf. And this speech, ladies and gentlemen, as we have been told, is for a very important subject, the Afrika Mashariki Transport Awards presentation ceremony. And tonight, we recognize various prayers in promoting transport efficiency, safety, and affordability. And I want to say safety again, because of its importance. And also those who provide the customer service, because transport sector is actually a service industry which involves customers, and customer satisfaction is very key to achieving in this sector. It is through the commitment and sacrifice of individuals and organizations like ourselves that we will achieve the transformation of our country as we desire it. Through transport sector, because we all know that transport is a very critical enabler of socio-economic development. Literally, we cannot talk about any development without motion. Any development involves some mobility of a certain kind, and therefore this is a very critical industry. Allow me also to appreciate the Presidential Delivery Unit, the Nation Media Group, the Steadfast trainers and consultants, and also colleagues from the Ministry of Transport for creating this platform to celebrate excellence in Kenya's transport industry. One of the most rewarding achievements in any profession is to receive the recognition from your peers. And I would like to take this very early opportunity to congratulate all the winners for this achievement. I would also want to congratulate those who will not win, because they will have an opportunity to appreciate the winners and work very hard to be the next year's winners, because I do believe that this is going to be an annual undertaking, because when we want to change behavior of people, it requires preaching every day, every week, every month. Ladies and gentlemen, infrastructure development is an integral part of the government's efforts to provide an enabling environment for growth that will uplift the lives of Kenyans. The network of the road, which is one of the most developed in sub-Saharan Africa, has been a very critical catalyst to socio-economic development. At independence, for example, in 1963, Kenya's road network stretched over 45,000 kilometers, of which only 2,000 kilometers was paved. Since then, we have undertaken extensive development programs to upgrade our roads, and in 2013, Kenya's paved road network stood at about 13,000 kilometers. And over the last 9 years, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta's government has constructed more than 11,500 kilometers of new tarmac roads. Wapi makofi? This means that there has been an increment of the paved roads network by more than 80%. Currently, the road network starts at a total of 160,000 kilometers, 866, of which 24,500 kilometers are paved. And as a result of this accelerated load development and maintenance over the last 9 years, more than 70% of Kenyans can now access a paved or all-weather road network within a radius of about 2 kilometers of their homes. These have improved access to schools, hospitals, trading centers, and various other services, and facilitated intra- and inter-county movement. Ladies and gentlemen, the many infrastructure projects planned or currently underway require huge amounts of financial resources. The government is keen on leveraging public-private partnerships arrangement to mobilize additional private sector resources for infrastructure development. And we have put in place the requisite policy and regulatory framework that will facilitate these public-private partnerships. The first load project to be executed using the PPP framework for the Nairobi Expressway, whose construction was fully financed by a private company, and the investor who is also responsible for designing, building, and maintaining the Nairobi Expressway will recoup their investment from toll charges collected from motorists who choose to use the expressway. I think this is a very good pioneer project and a motivation for other private sector players to appreciate that indeed PPP can work, and I am expecting to see many more other investments of such infrastructure nature coming on board because of the enabling PPP framework that we have. Other notable road projects that the Jubilee administration has implemented include the Kibwezi, Mutomo, Kitui, Migwani Road, the Voi, Mwatate, Taveta Road, the Ramu, Ijara, Garissa, and Gasen, Witu, Lam roads that link the Ramu port to the hinterland. To enhance security and connectivity in the northeastern part of Kenya, we have built the Garissa, Nuno, Modogashe Road, the Tubi, Moyale Road, and the Isiolo, Moyale Road, and the Elwak, Ramu Road. Ladies and gentlemen, you will acknowledge that these roads have been so critical in opening up the northeastern parts of Kenya, which, as you know, have always been left out from the accessibility with the other parts of the country. It is indeed a very, very important development undertaking that has been done. The government is also upgrading the Isiolo, Baragoi, Lokcha Road, and Lokcha Rodwa, Nakodok Road to provide connectivity to South Sudan and improve security in northwestern Kenya. The expansion of James Gishuru Junction to Lironi Road and the Athi River Machakos turn-off road have reduced congestion on the northern corridor and the Nairobi metropolitan area. Other initiatives that have reduced congestion in Nairobi include construction of 4 new bypass roads around the city, the expansion of Gong Road and Outer Ring Road, and the construction of several new link roads. The government has also upgraded 480 kilometers of the dual carriageway as part of the Raja project to expand the Ranga, Runga, Mombasa, Maridi Road. Ladies and gentlemen, the aviation industry also has not been left behind, and it plays an important role in Kenya due to the country's strategic location right at the center of the world map, and also quite a strategic location in the African continent. To ensure that Jomo Kenyatta International Airport maintains its position as the leading airport in East and Central Africa, we are revamping terminals 1A, B, C, and D at this airport. We have also rehabilitated 9 airstrips across the country to support horticulture, tourism, and other commercial activities in the areas that they serve. These initiatives, ladies and gentlemen, have contributed to an increase in the total passenger handling capacity from about 5 million passengers in 3 international and 7 domestic airports in the year 2013 to 8.5 million passengers in 4 international and 6 domestic airports currently. That is about an increase of about 70%. Indeed, a very, very great initiative. One of the flagship projects aimed at putting Kenya on the path to becoming an upper middle income country by 2030 is the standard gauge railway, which also traverses the northern corridor. The first 592 kilometers of this project is complete. That is from Mombasa to Naivasha, and is also operational. It has actually exceeded our expectations because so far we have carried 7.9 million passengers and transported 20 million tons of cargo to facilitate the seamless transshipment of freight destined to Western Kenya and Great Lakes region. We have also built a new medium gauge railway line from Naivasha Inland Container Depot to the Logonot MGR station and revamped the medium gauge railway line from Logonot to Maramba and Kisumu, which of course means that this is an inter-country connectivity when we go all the way to Maramba. Prior to the development of the standard gauge railway, Kenya relied on the meter gauge railway network that was completed in the early 1900. And after so many years from 1900, I think it was very necessary that we bring on board this very, very facilitative infrastructure of the standard gauge railway. The government is revamping this network and associated infrastructure to enhance passenger and freight services to various parts of the country. To reduce congestion in the Nairobi metropolitan area, we have revitalized the Nairobi commuter railway line with the acquisition of 11 diesel multiple units and rehabilitated existing locomotives and the wagons as well. As a result, daily ridership has increased from 2.5 million passengers in 2013 to more than 3.4 million passengers at the present time. Esteemed stakeholders of this very important sector and guests, to cement Kenya's reputation as a gateway to East Africa, we have expanded Mombasa Port and built a new port at Lamu. Since 2017, we have also built the second container terminal at Mombasa Port, which has effectively doubled the port's capacity to 2.15 million TEUs, and the Jubilee administration has also laid the foundation for development of the Ndogo Kudu Free Port. And this free port, ladies and gentlemen, will also include a special economic zone. To reduce congestion at Mombasa Port, we have enhanced the capacity of Nairobi Inland Container Depot to 405,000 TEUs and built the new Naivasha Inland Container Depot, which has a capacity of 72,000 TEUs. The government plans to invest additional US $3.6 billion in Mombasa Port to increase its capacity from 2.15 million TEUs to 3.5 million TEUs by 2013, and ultimately 5.9 million by 2047. A very, very ambitious vision for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, the development of Kenya's transport infrastructure would not have been realized without the commitment and sacrifice of very many stakeholders. And I want to appreciate and acknowledge all of you, from the boda industry, the matatu industry, the bus industry, the trucks industry, the railway industry, the port industry, the aviation industry. You are all very critical facilitators of socio-economic development. As you have listened, ladies and gentlemen, in the speech by the Cabinet Secretary, a lot of work has gone in this infrastructure development. A lot of resources have been expended in this infrastructure development, and I want to thank you as the drivers of all this infrastructure development. You are the roaring stock of the infrastructure, and without you rolling on that infrastructure, the infrastructure will not be of any use. So your part in using this infrastructure is very important, and I want to thank you and acknowledge that important input. But at the same time, let me caution that as we use this infrastructure, let us be careful. Let us be disciplined. Let us ensure that we exercise maximum safety on all this infrastructure. As we have been told here, the numbers tell it, and we must all and always remember that the loss of a human life is irreplaceable. And therefore, as we gear ourselves to receiving these awards, let us remember and appreciate that our careful use of our roads, our careful use of the infrastructure that we have is very, very important in making good use of this critical infrastructure that has been put up by the government. It is my hope, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, that recognition of excellence will help to nurture the talent and expertise required for Kenya to build world-class transportation systems. Once again, allow me to thank and congratulate all the winners of the various prizes, and for those who will not win, be encouraged. Exercise caution, exercise discipline, so that in the next year's Mashariki Day celebration, you will be the winner to take up the prize. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you all for gracing this very important occasion, and thank you so much for coming up in big numbers. It's one of the very few functions that I have seen attended and this entire hall filled up. Can you clap for yourselves? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you all.
Asante sana, Bwana PS. Just before we let you go, just to check with you, a few facts. I think Fosi has been my educator on how government works. Very good vibes. I wish we can share something on the Executive Order number 1 of 2019 on the effectiveness of the road networks. But I also learned something today, that the average cost of road construction is 30 million per kilometer. So as a pessimist, Someone may look at it at hiyo ni 30 million imelala. As someone who considers healthy living, every time you walk a kilometer, you are walking, you know what it feels like to walk on 30 million. How do you manage to talk of numbers like 10,000 kilometers, 20,000 kilometers? What is the criteria that you use? I just want them to hear from you. I got that in the morning. Criteria of making sure that every village is connected to all-weather roads.
Thank you. I think starting from the end about what is the criteria. Maybe at some times you have seen some trucks put on the road with some instruments to measure and to count the number of vehicles that pass through a particular road. And that science is the one that forms the basis of prioritization of the roads that have to be done. On the other hand, there are some roads which are done purely for security purposes. Because I have just talked about several roads that have been done in the northeastern part of the country, an area which is fairly distant from the country, an area which also interconnects us with other countries on the eastern side of our country and also on the northern side. Those roads are critical for creating trade between ourselves and our neighbors. So there are very many considerations that are done. And what I want to assure you is decisions made on the prioritization of these roads is purely based on good intentions and the easiest and best ways of socio-economically developing our country.
Asante sana. And I also learned another fact. Wapi makofi ya Bwana PS? I have loved that fact. The number of cars that pass by a road influence, also give priority to whether that road will be built. Asante sana. Thank me later. Ushago yenu ikitaka barabara, invite Forester Nation for a road trip. Wapite mara mbili, you are sorted. Asante sana Bwana PS. Umetusaidia sana. Thank you. Asante. Now before we get to why we are here, the main reason why we are here tonight, the awards, please allow me to welcome the president's last born. The president adopted him. Those are not my words. Otonglo, aka Daniel Owira, aka Otonglo, has a presentation for you. Wapi makofi yake?
Vicky Bandes. Disco.
They say make hay while the sun shines. I say buy hay while you have the Otonglo. My name is Sylvester Ogwangfumbi, the only man in Nyamtoi Village, County Regional Diaspora with an English name. But do I say, ladies and gentlemen, I am a well-traveled man. I go to social gathering and go to different occasions using different cars. For example, I go for my shopping using my black limousine, while I come to social gatherings such as this one using my Hammer H2. In case you come across a Pro Box in my garage, don't be mistaken, that is my toolbox. But do I say? Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to act the part. Allow me now to act my dressing as I address my villagers from Nyamtoi village and also the international guests that are in the house. Excellencies present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's been a productive week here at the Expo, full of knowledge sharing, experience, and connectivity. I'll admit that most of us came here very strange to one another, but we are leaving this place very connected, having embraced the diversity that has been displayed throughout the expo. Allow me to cut to the chase and say how it is. Indeed, His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta and his government have advanced our country's highest ideals of freedom, democracy, and human dignity in all our sectors of transportation. This has aimed to assure the Kenyan citizens of government support towards effective leadership to enhance efficiency and increase the value of service. Until around many years ago, transportation systems rarely used any form of digitization or analytics. But these technologies that we see right now running the transportation sector, and some having been displayed by the bright minds of men and women who sit in this room during the expo, will significantly continue to affect transport designs now and the near future. With the 3 Ps that have been displayed in the abundance at the past few years of President Kenyatta's government tenure, that is 1, political will, 2, policies, and 3, partnerships. We have seen players that once seemed far removed from the transportation industry space already finding ways to take advantage of new opportunities, particularly the ones made by possible high-tech. The truth is, continuous digitization of the transportation industry in our country has seen tremendous improvement. We have seen existing transport systems upgraded. Advances in technology in these industries have not only affected the composition and utilization of transportation, but also the speed and cost of their construction. As a Kenyan youth, speaking on behalf of the majority of Kenyans out here, and even those who are sitting in this room, you'll all agree with me when I say that we believe that the government, the tech space, and the automobile companies should continue to take key steps to stay competitive in the race towards this next revolution in transport. His Excellency the President stressed time and again that this country, we should take advantage of low interest rates, available labor to build and renew not only our transportation industry, but also the nation's physical assets. And true to his words, he has led by example, and that's why we enjoy and delight in the quality roads across the country that we have today. We want to confirm to the President that we hear you, sir, and we believe that is the way to go. In the context of COVID recovery and climate change crisis, we have seen various projects across the entire nation, both to revitalize the local economy and enhance service delivery. Through the transportation industry, which often focus on routine maintenance and upgrade work, has provided job opportunities which continue to improve the lives of many Kenyans through eradicating of poverty and increasing of better living standards. We urge the government and all the stakeholders to remain and to absorb the processes and to note in our transportation system to increase innovation and encourage creativity. We believe it is important that transparency and integrity take center stage for us to achieve efficiently the goals of making Kenya a leading nation in transportation space. Ladies and gentlemen, it is enough. It's enough if you don't freeze in the cold. And if thirst and hunger don't claw at your insides, if your back isn't broken, if your feet can walk, if both hands can bend, and if both eyes can see, if both ears can hear, then whom should we envy and why? Let's continue to support our transportation sector so that together we build this industry better than we found it. Green, renewable, and resilient. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless our beloved country, Kenya, and God bless you.
Asante sana.